Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and today we've got a lot to talk about for Destruction and Demonology. Today I woke up at about 3 in the afternoon to a lot of Destruction changes, Demonology changes, and there are a few Affliction changes here too in the newest build of Shadowlands Alpha. Now, some of these Affliction changes are sort of like reversions to things that we had in the past in previous builds. Some are based around Destro and Demo, like I said, and some are like class-wide. So I want to get into them, talk about them, give you my thoughts on them, and just recap them as a whole. So I did say, boys, be patient and wait for Destro and Demo changes. They might be coming. Well, here they are. So let's get right into this and take a look at what we've got here. So this is the MMO Champion blue post here that Blizzard put out earlier today, recapping the Warlock changes for the day. So for Warlock, we're focused on improving talent choices for Destruction and Demonology, as well as adding rewards for leveling up. In particular, we'd like there to be more viable builds for these specs to experiment with. This led to changes for the highly popular talents Demonic Consumption and Grimoire of Supremacy, which Supremacy was certainly needed. Please continue posting feedback. There we go. So a general change here. The first one we see, Warlock. Demonic Gateway no longer despawns when the caster dies. When the gateway is close to despawning, it begins dissolving in a view to warn the caster and allies they may wish to replace it. This is a good change. They talk about it in the developer's notes here. When it comes to wiping on bosses, things like that, it'll still be there when you get back. I noticed it earlier in the dungeon that came out today in the newest Shadowlands Alpha build, and it's cool. It's relevant. It probably should have been a thing for a while. It's a nice quality of life change. So, getting into Affliction here. Now, the previous build of Shadowlands Alpha had a lot of Affliction changes, and every single change, pretty much I can say, I was a fan of. This change here, Unstable Affliction reverted to limit 1. Spell coefficient reverted to its previous amount. It was buffed damage-wise to compensate for being reverted to 1 again. Even with, now, listen, if you watch the Plaguefall dungeon run, which I put up on YouTube and streamed, there were certain points in time where having multiple UAs rolling, 1 on 4 targets, whenever that target died, it gave you a soul shard back. And if you were casting Drain Soul on random targets, it led to a point at times where you were just overcapping on shards, and you really didn't have a way to manage that. You couldn't rapture in time before everything else started dying. This change reverts it back to being limited to 1. 1 UA can be active at all times on 1 target. It doesn't matter if it's a single target boss or a boss with 10,000 ads present. You're going to have 1 UA on 1 target, and that's it. The notes here. Now, I'm not really like, honestly, I think it's like, the playstyle that we saw in Plaguefall, having 1 UA active on any number of targets, was fun. It was engaging. I think it really raised the skill ceiling a lot with Affliction as a whole. I think, let's just read the notes here. Even without picking talents like Siphon Life and Phantom Singularity, Affliction was unable to keep up with their dots being active on more than 3 targets. I don't know who they're balancing that around, whose gameplay they're looking at. It's not hard to maintain 1 dot with Absolute Corruption. It's not hard to maintain 2 dots with Writhe and Agony and regular Corruption. It's not hard to maintain 3 dots on multiple targets. I get that there's disparity between, like, you know, there's a skill gap when it comes to players in WoW. I get that. I'm just not a big fan of this cut and dry kind of answer here, because honestly, it's not true. It's extremely easy. But realistically, like, I think as far as shard refunds go, it's not as big of a deal as everyone's making it out to be. I think the bigger frustration people are having is that what they mentioned here, it's just not the case. It's not hard to juggle, to refresh your Agony on mobs. You're playing Absolute Corruption. And even if you're playing a Writhe and Agony build, it's not hard to juggle 2 dots. You're casting Rapture, you're maintaining a few UAs, and that's it. Like, it's not that challenging. I think it's fine having a higher skill ceiling in the game, and I really enjoyed having UA active on multiple mobs. But regardless, this is the reversion we have. It's important to get feedback on it, which I'm doing. Unstable Affliction should now be used on your priority target, which causes Malefic Rapture to do increased damage to said target. There you go. So there's that change. Not a big fan of it. Besides that, I think AF's Toolkit is still awesome. Awesome. But I hope that they potentially just reconsider that change, because it felt really good before. It had a much higher skill ceiling, a skill cap, and now it's back to like, okay, UA is mostly irrelevant again. Outside of that, though, there was a change to Affliction's talents. Haunt now applies Shadow's Embrace. It's only 1 stack. whenever Haunt hits the target. It's a bit of a kickstart to your Shadow's Embrace, I guess, stacks, damage increase. It's nice. Solid quality of life change. Probably won't be relevant a whole lot, but still, there it is. I'm going to skip over PvP talents because honestly, we're going to skip over them. But if you want to read them, you can read them here. So the big changes, Destruction and Demonology. Let's get into Destro because there's a lot here. Destro. Summon Infernal, rank 2, is learned at level 52. Infernal Awakening deals 150% increased damage upon impact. This is to every single mob. This is the damage that your Infernal deals when he hits the ground, which comes with his stun. It's pretty impactful. Pun half intended, but it's pretty big. At 54, Havoc rank 2 is learned. Havoc's duration is increased by 2 seconds. Now, we're much slower on Alpha right now due to template characters and haste being a lot lower, so at right now, if you watch the gameplay from the new dungeon that I put up earlier tonight, our Havoc, we're not squeezing anywhere near the amount of spells into a Havoc window as we are on live, but when we get more haste and more gear, this is a big change. I like it. It's good. It's a big buff to Destro as a whole. And Rain of Fire is rank 2 is learned at 56. Rain of Fire's damage is increased by 30%. If you watch that run we did through the other side earlier, Rain of Fire is back as far as damage goes in Mythic Plus, and just in general, its damage is up there. It's good. I like these little like passive abilities we gain while leveling. It's cool. I'm curious to see if there's any at 58 and 60. But regardless, I like them. Good, solid changes. 15 row. Soulfire is now a 4-second cast. Damage increased from 100 to 300% spell power on a 1-minute cooldown. Causes your next Incinerate to be instant cast and generates 1 soul shard. I'm going to be real with you guys. The spell hasn't found the niche as an additional short cast spell time. It returns to a 4-second cast time, serving as a pre-pull opener to kickstart your damage. This is the buffed version of Soulfire. It deals 2100 damage. A Chaos Bolt deals 1700. If you want this to be like a big single target nuke on a 1-minute CD, you need to probably double its damage. At least it's a 300% spell power modifier. Make it 500. It needs to be buffed even more. It's a 4-second cast on a 1-minute cooldown that hits a little bit harder than a Chaos Bolt. Having the next Incinerate be instant cast is nice. It's not very relevant. It generates 1 soul shard, which is cool, but it's a 4-second cast. You can cast 2 Incinerates for 4/10 of a soul shard at that point. You can Havoc this Soulfire. However, I don't want to be casting a 4-second spell in my Havoc window. I think it needs to be buffed more. Solid change, I guess. I mean, if you're trying to make Soulfire relevant, it's cool. I'd like to have Soulfire in our baseline toolkit. Buff the. I think where it's at right now, instant Incinerate, 1 soul shard, cool. Buff the damage, and then you're there. I like it overall. The problem, though, is that it's competing with 2 heavy hitters in this row, being Flashover and Eradication. These are pretty impactful talents, too, so we got to see where that goes. I have a feeling, like, on a 1-minute CD, even if they almost double the damage here, I don't know if it would be relevant, or Eradication, or Flashover. It probably needs a row swap here at some point. Like, I mean, 10% bonus damage, active 60% of the time, in Alpha. Like, I don't think you're beating that. But we'll see. 25 row. Shadowburn is now a 1 shard spender. Damage increased to 130 from 60 with a 12-second cooldown. Has a 50% increased crit chance on low health targets and generates 1 soul shard if a target dies within 5 seconds. We're pretty sure that low health targets constitutes something below 20% health. We had tested it a bit in a duel earlier with THD. Yeah. Shadowburn's generator was not exciting enough. Shadowburn now provides an alternative way to spend shards, especially while on the move, and also adds burst damage in the execute window. It's awesome, but it's still a talent in a row with 2 heavy hitters once again. Shadowburn, I think, just needs to go baseline. Honestly, I don't know. It should be baseline. I think it goes, I mean, it fits the toolkit. It gives you that pseudo-execute, like, baseline. I just think it should be baseline, honestly. And it sort of frees up a talent slot here for other things. It's a cool change, but it's not going to be taken over internal combustion or entropy. It might be taken in Mythic Plus, maybe, but it sort of depends on a lot of stuff. And it's early in Alpha, but the changes are nice. I just don't know if it's going to be relevant enough, you know. Level 35 row, Cataclysm damage decreased to 180 spell power from 200. It's a bit of a nerf to like Cataclysms overall, like just on cast damage. Probably needed, honestly. It doesn't make a big difference. It still applies Immolate. Everything else is the same. Fine, no big deal. Big changes here. 45 row, Grimoire of Supremacy renamed Reign of Chaos. While your initial Infernal is active, every soul shard you spend has a 15% chance to summon an additional Infernal that lasts 10 seconds. It's Vision of Perfection, basically, with no Supremacy extensions. Developers note, Supremacy was too integral to Destruction's damage output, even with Vision of Perfection. Or without, I'm sorry. It also created unhealthy gameplay in PvE, and they left off PvE here too, because it... well, yeah. We want this talent to remain powerful and exciting, so instead of ramping Chaos Bolt damage, Warlocks can try to maximize the amount of Infernal spawn. The goal is to provide the same fun gameplay without being too reliant on getting a very high modifier in a Chaos Bolt. You're just relying on a very high amount of RNG. It's basically VOP. Now, for each soul shard you spend, you have a 15% chance to summon an Infernal for 10 seconds. So, I like the idea behind it. I don't like the RNG behind it. And we'll get more into this in a minute here. I like the idea, don't like the RNG. If you proc an Infernal off your first soul shard spender, or your second one, those Infernals feed you more soul shards because they're active for 10 seconds and double your shard generation, shard bits, which feeds you more shard spenders, which gives you even more potential Infernal summons. I think it's actually relatively reliant on like your first 2 shard spenders. Do you proc more Infernals or not? There's times I proc'd 4 or 5 Infernals in Mythic Plus. There's on one pull. There's times I proc'd literally 0. I don't like that amount of RNG being on this row here and one of our later talents, which is also tied to a 3-minute CD. If our Infernal was a 2-minute CD, I mean, there's a huge difference between having a 3-minute Infernal as Destruction and a 2-minute Infernal as Destruction. Not even to mention the fact that Dark Soul syncs with a 2-minute Infernal and not a 3. I like the talent. I don't like the RNG behind it. But I mean, Supremacy needed to go. It was just too OP, and having all of our damage in that half-a-minute window, unless you had VOP procs, was not a good feeling. No one liked that gameplay. I mean, I don't know. Most everybody didn't, I feel. But regardless, a bit of RNG. We'll see how it goes. I sort of feel like they want this to be your AoE Mythic Plus talent, and this Roaring Blaze being your single target one. Roaring Blaze redesigned now causes the target to take 30% increased fire damage from the Warlock for 6 seconds. Developers note, this does not affect Chaos Bolt. Stop right there. Why? Why not? It's chaos damage. Why not? Only pure fire spell damage. We want to try opening up other talent builds that can work with your fire spells. I don't know what that even means. This isn't an explanation. Why does it not work with Chaos Bolt? I get the fact that it's a pretty big buff. 30% damage increase is a lot, and you have 2 charges of Conflag, and this lasts 6 seconds. You can have a pretty high uptime on this. I sort of get why it doesn't affect Chaos Bolt, but at the same time, it just doesn't make sense. Keep in mind, Immolate, Incinerate, Conflag are all fire spells, so it still is relevant there. Honestly, I think it'd be cool. Nerf it to 20% and have it affect Chaos Bolt, something like that. But it's cool. It does affect Soulfire as well. So you're playing Soulfire, there's that. From what I understand, it will also affect Internal Combustion, because Internal Combustion is just taking Immolate's dot damage and having it deal it instantly. So it should affect Internal Combustion. There could be a pretty spicy, like, icy Roaring Blaze, but we'll see. I think this is more of a single target talent you're looking at taking, and this is more AoE based, but yeah. Level 50 row. Channel Demon Fire primary target damage increased by 10%. We ran this dungeon that I put the other side. We ran that one more time towards the end of stream. Channel Demon Fire was cranking. Its damage was really impactful. It was big. It was big. It was big. I was very impressed with Channel Demon Fire. We were playing it with a Reign of Chaos build, and even outside of like your Infernal, which is a 3-minute CD, Channel Demon Fire with Cataclysm and Inferno's Reign of Fire's buff. It really brought up your overall damage outside of your Infernal, which is a great thing. Our damage was not like down here and goes to the roof with our Infernal and drops way back down. It's more like here, and it goes up with Infernal and maybe with procs, but then it's still like a solid amount. I mean, whether you're playing Demon Fire a lot or not, I think our damage outside of Infernal is better. I like it. I think the spec, it feels better. The fire, or the Reign of Fire buffs, and like, I just think it feels better as a whole. I don't know if that's partially due to like being excited about Reign of Chaos, even though there's RNG there. I haven't totally gathered all my thoughts on it, but there are times where you get insane RNG with Reign of Chaos and just destroy a pull, and there are times where you get no procs, and that's not something I like. But I was impressed with Demon Fire. So now moving on to Demonology, I'm gonna say I am impressed with some of these changes. I'm a fan of them. First, right off the bat, man. Number 1. Summon Demonic Tyrant is learned at level 52, now generates 5 soul shards when cast. They literally put Baleful Invocation into our Tyrant baseline. That is the last thing I thought we'd see. I thought we'd see a legendary or a soulbind or a talent that gives you 5 shards back. They just put it in our Tyrant in the first place. They just said, hey, here, take it, 5 shards. Insane. Giving our Tyrant Baleful Invocation baseline does so much for the specs, smoothing wise, everything. It's great. I like it. Great change. Call Dreadstalkers, 54. Call Dreadstalkers cast time reduced by 0.5, and they gain pursuit. They run faster their target. There's that. Wild Imps now spawn more immediately after Hand of Gul'dan. It's pretty close to them being almost instant. They spawn within half a second. It's like it lands, bam, they're at your feet, which is good for a lot of reasons. Implosion, not having to fill with a GCD, casting your Tyrant, not having to wait for Imps to spawn. And 2 to 3 imps spawn in faster succession. In addition, if they path fail, they now teleport to the Warlock. This should both improve quality of life and help prevent purposely getting your imps stuck somewhere to prevent them from casting. LOSing imps. I was still able to LOS a few imps on stairs. I don't know. It's odd. They don't spawn in a set location anymore either. Sometimes they spawn in 3 random spots around you. So there's that. Sometimes they spawn in front of me, sometimes behind me, left, right. It's completely random. I was able to LOS a bit on a staircase, but it was only like 1 imp out of 3. So for the most part, no. But we'll get to why that's mostly irrelevant now here anyways. Wild Imps rank 2 learned at 56. Imp energy cost on Fell Firebolt decreased by 20. You probably get 1 additional Fell Firebolt cast before despawning. That's cool. A buff to our imps. Talents. Demonic Consumption no longer sacrifices imps. Now instead drains 15% health of all active demons, empowering itself based on the HP consumed. This, I literally cited Thalkios Consumption in that Google Doc we submitted, man. This is a fusion between modern Demonic Consumption and Thalkios Consumption from Legion. The goal is to give the Warlock more incentive to care about summoning other demons and allow for Implosion and Power Siphon to have their unique flavor be sacrificing imps. There you go. So your consumption no longer consumes your imps. This also means that your Dreadstalkers, your Felguard, your Grimoire Felguard if you're playing it, your Vile Fiend, your imps, every pet you have matters, which is great when it comes to building demonic consumption. I like this change. I think it's good. As you can see, it also makes LOSing, if it was a thing, less impactful because they despawn at about the same time if it's not based off energy. So the imps you summoned in that first Hand of Gul'dan, out of the 4 you're casting your Tyrant setup, if you are following the same setup on live right now, they would essentially give the same value that they did. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not based off energy anymore. It's health based. They don't use their health to cast spells. You know, they're going to give the same value regardless. The thing is, though, you're casting other things instead. I was playing Felguard. We messed a bit with Vile Fiend. You know, on live right now, we don't really care about extending Dreadstalkers, but you do now. You more so care about casting your Tyrant when they're active. But I like this change. Good change overall. I like it. Moving on. Power Siphon now also adds 30% damage to your next 2 Demon Bolts. Awesome. Great. Sounds good. Now, somebody did point out there was a bug. If you got a Demon Bolt proc, it got rid of the actual damage. We tested this in-game. When I had 2 charges of demonic cores that was given through Power Siphon, the tooltip says, hey, these have 30% increased damage. When I launched 2 of those, when I imploded and got a 3rd demonic core stack, it still said it had a 30% buff on it. When I cast 2 bolts and had 1 stack left, assumably from that implosion, the damage modifier was not there. It's fine. I don't think it's bugged or anything, but it's cool. It's sort of smart. I like it. Nether Portal Demons summoned attack power increased by 21%. Inner Demons, random demons summoned, increased by 20%. Demonic Calling reduced shard costs of Call Dreadstalkers by 2. So, Nether Portal was essentially buffed. And then nerfed with Demonic Calling. But Nether Portal essentially buffed. I like the change. I'm a fan of Nether Portal. I don't really know how it's going to do how it's going to make things look. It's just a tuning thing. We don't really know. But we know there's an actual buff there. So that's solid. If you're a fan of Portal, hey, cross your fingers. We'll see. It's needed a buff. It's needed help for a while. It needs more changes than that, but it's a start. What it really needs to do is spawn the number of demons depending on how many shards you spend on it, similar to how like Reign of Chaos works. It'll get rid of this Shadowbolt hand sequencing. It's just terrible. Regardless, though, Demonic Calling now reduces the shard cost of Dreadstalkers by 2. So it's cool. Dreadstalkers, when it procs, it's instant cast and costs no shards. That's great. However, if you're taking this with another portal, it's essentially a nerf, because otherwise you cast your dogs anyways to summon a demon from the portal for 2 shards. If you had a proc, or if you have a proc on live, it costs 1 shard, but now it costs 0. So essentially, you're probably taking Power Siphon in this row, or maybe Doom. That's all like sort of just theory crafting, which is irrelevant now. But regardless, overall, pretty much a buff for everything else but Nether Portal, and Portal can probably just work around it. So there's that. And Inner Demons were buffed damage-wise too, by 21%. So a lot of changes today. I'm very, very happy about the Baleful Invocation being baked into our Demonic Tyrant. There is no actual talk of an interrupt here. I know. That's basically the number one thing we need an answer on now. What's going on with our interrupt? Hopefully we'll figure it out. I'm going to be updating the Warlock feedback Google Doc on stream this weekend, and that will be a hot topic. But having Baleful baked into your Tyrant is awesome. Great change. Great change. Does a whole lot for the spec. Makes it feel so much smoother in rating, Mythic Plus, everything. It still has a 1.5-minute damage profile, which with your Tyrant, which is very good. I like it a lot. The one thing that I don't like, and probably needs to be addressed, I'm going to hit on this in my Google Doc too. Grimoire Felguard, obviously playing this with our Tyrant, is a buff to our Tyrant's damage now. Grimoire Felguard is a 2-minute CD. Our Tyrant is a 1 minute, or a 1.5-minute CD. With less than 48 hours before BFA went live, from beta to actual live servers, they nerfed Grimoire Felguard. They nerfed the damage it dealt, I guess, as well as increase its cooldown to 2 minutes. I would love to see Felguard go back to a 1.5-minute CD, syncing perfectly with your Tyrant. It does so much for your Tyrant, for consumption, for your damage profile. Otherwise, it puts you in this weird spot. Like, am I holding my Tyrant, which you're not normally doing? Am I holding my Felguard? Probably not. Like, it's just gross. Changing that CD, nerfing the Fellstorm damage or whatever it does, like nerfing its duration, whatever, is great. Trim 30 seconds off it. You're good to go. That's pretty big there overall. So we got to see what happens with that too. Hopefully they bring some kind of change to that, or at least just look at it in the first place. The actual like wild imp changes, demonic consumption changes, I'm happy with too for the most part. LOSing was awesome. It was cool, but we knew it wasn't going to stick around. You knew it wasn't going to be a thing. They're not going to have Warlocks bursting 10 times higher than any other class can in the game in a very, very short window. It's not going to happen. It's cool. It's awesome. But in the end, like, this is a good change that makes your other pets more relevant, which, like I said earlier, it's probably a good thing. All we care about is imps when it comes to demonic consumption on live right now. We don't care about dogs or anything else. Now you care more. Now it makes Felguard better. It makes Vilefiend better. The question is, are you playing Soul Strike or Vilefiend? Are you playing Soul Conduit or Felguard? I mean, they both hold merit in different scenarios, but as a whole, we got to see. So, and the Destro changes, like I said, I'm happy, I guess. I don't know if happy is the right word. I'm happy that Rain of Fire is buffed. The Havoc change is awesome. Infernal Awakening damage increase is legit. It's cool. I don't know how I feel about Reign of Chaos. VOP is fun. It's awesome when it procs. When it doesn't proc, it feels terrible. It's like you have a dead Major Essence. That's sort of how Reign of Chaos is going to feel, I think, at times. Because it's not just Rain of Fire. It's Chaos Bolt. It's any spell that costs a Soul Shard can proc it. So we have to see where that goes. In the end, I don't really know what they can do to change that unless they just scrap the talent. I don't think they're willing to do that. I don't think it really needs to be. But I think the biggest issue with Destruction right now is still the 3-minute Infernal. It needs to be 2 minutes. Like, having a 3-minute damage profile in Mythic Plus is just, it makes you so less relevant in most scenarios, unless you're pulling around like that CD, or you're just inherently broken and your damage is so insane it's still worth bringing you to pull around that CD only. And I don't think it will be. You know, it's good, but it's also RNG. So we got to see where that goes. I just would love a 2-minute Infernal, whether it's a talent. I mean, shoot, like I said, there's a few spots you can fit in a Dark Caller-esque kind of ability, Dark Infernal for Destruction. The internal combustion change is nice, a bit of a buff there. Cataclysm nerf is something certainly relevant. this needs to probably affect Chaos Bolt, I feel. If it doesn't long term, I guess it's still a 30% damage increase to everything else you cast. But I mean, I don't know, it just seems like it's, as far as Chaos Bolt being the main focal point of Destro, it seems sort of odd that this talent in almost our last row doesn't affect the main soul shard spender of Destro. But I don't know, you know, we'll see what they want to do with it. And Channel Demon Fire was impressive when we played it in Mythic Plus earlier. So the unstable Affliction change is unfortunate. You know, this is also what I'm a little disappointed about. But in the end, outside of the skill cap being higher, I don't think it's not gonna change much. I don't think, really, shard gen wise in Mythic Plus most of the time. You can work around this. I don't think it's as big of a deal. It's frustrating, it's disappointing, but it is what it is, you know. So yeah. But as far as it goes, that's pretty much all the Warlock changes from today. Demo changes, awesome. I like them. I want an interrupt. We need one. Our Fell Hunter is not relevant. Just give us Grimoire Fell Hunter. That's it. We can't swap to our Fell Hunter because of Demonic Strength and Soul Strike and other talents being relevant, and we can't literally cast them if we don't have our Felguard out. And Fell Domination is not an alternative there, because you can swap to your Fell Hunter with Domination, but then you have a 6-second pet summon to get your Felguard back out for talents you want to cast, and it's just a nightmare. Just give us Grimoire Fell Hunter. We're good to go. Great. Everybody that loves Demonology will love you forever. But yeah, besides that, those are the changes for today, boys. Let me know what you think of them in the comment section below. Keep in mind that I'm not a dev for Blizzard. I don't work for Blizzard. I just stream Warcraft and make videos, so don't yell at me. But let me know what you guys think about Soulfire, about UA changes, about everything. How you feel about Reign of Chaos is actually a pretty big question I want to know about. Let me know, guys. But yeah, thanks for watching, dudes. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to smash that subscribe button, like button. It helps out a lot. If you want to swing by the stream anytime, it's down here somewhere. All my week auras, profiles, add-ons are there, available to you for free. So yeah, thanks again, dudes, and I will see you all again soon. Peace.